I'm standing in my mother-in-law's living room, holding my 3-month-old daughter against my chest. 23 people are staring at me. My husband, his sister, his brother, aunts, uncles, cousins, the whole Mitchell family. And my mother-in-law, Gloria, is holding up a piece of paper like it's a trophy. "I knew it," she screams. "I knew this baby wasn't my grandchild. DNA don't lie. Marcus is not the father." The room explodes. People gasping, people whispering, people looking at me like I'm trash they found on the street. My husband won't even look at me, and I'm standing there, tears running down my face, trying to figure out how my life just fell apart in 30 seconds. But here's what Gloria didn't know. Here's what none of them knew. That DNA test wasn't just going to prove I was innocent. It was going to expose a secret Gloria had been hiding for 35 years. A secret that was going to have this entire family on their knees, begging me for forgiveness. Let me take you back to the beginning. 4 months ago, the happiest day of my life. I'm in the delivery room at Memorial Hospital. Ironic, right? I work here as an ICU nurse, but today, I'm the patient. 16 hours of labor and I'm exhausted. But I don't care because I'm holding my baby girl, Zoe Marie Mitchell, 7 pounds, 4 ounces. Perfect little fingers, perfect little toes, a full head of curly hair. Marcus is crying, actual tears rolling down his face. He keeps saying, "That's my daughter, that's my daughter." I've never loved him more than in that moment. Then Gloria walks in. Now let me tell you about my mother-in-law. Gloria Mitchell thinks her son hung the moon. In her eyes, Marcus can do no wrong. And me, I've been not good enough since the day we met. I'm too educated, too independent. I make my own money and I have my own opinions. Everything Gloria thinks a wife shouldn't be. But I've tried, Lord knows I've tried. 4 years of biting my tongue. 4 years of yes ma'am and no ma'am. 4 years of pretending her little comments don't cut me to the bone. So when she walks into that hospital room, I'm expecting her to be happy. She's been wanting a grandchild forever. Marcus hands her the baby. "Mama, meet your granddaughter." Gloria looks down at Zoe, and her face changes. See, here's the thing. Marcus is dark-skinned, beautiful dark chocolate complexion, just like his daddy was. Gloria is medium brown. Me, I'm light, caramel. My mama is mixed, and my daddy was light-skinned. Genetics did what genetics do. And Zoe came out looking like me. Light skin, hazel eyes, my grandmother's eyes. Gloria holds my baby like she's holding something dirty. She says. Just that, Then, she's light. She looks just like Nina's side, Marcus says, proud as can be. He doesn't hear what I hear, but I hear it. That, wasn't curiosity. It was accusation. Gloria hands Zoe back to me without another word. Doesn't say congratulations, doesn't say she's beautiful, just hands her back and says, "I need some air," and walks out. I looked at Marcus, confused. He just shrugged. You know how Mama is. She'll warm up. But I knew better. I'd seen that look in Gloria's eyes before, that look of suspicion, that look of judgment. What I didn't know was that look was the beginning of a storm that would nearly destroy my entire life. The nurse came in to check on Zoe, and I tried to push Gloria's reaction out of my mind. This was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. I wasn't going to let my mother-in-law ruin it. But even as I held my perfect baby girl, even as Marcus kissed my forehead and told me he loved me, I couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted. Something dark was coming. I just didn't know how dark it would get. The first week home with a newborn is supposed to be magical. Mine was hell. Gloria showed up every single day. She said she was helping, but what she was really doing was inspecting. Inspecting my baby like she was looking for clues. Her nose is so narrow. Nobody in our family has a nose like that. Look at those eyes. Where did those come from? She doesn't have the Mitchell chin. Every Mitchell baby has that chin. I tried to explain genetics. I showed her pictures of my grandmother. I said, babies change as they grow. But Gloria wasn't interested in explanations. Gloria was building a case. One afternoon, I was in the kitchen warming up a bottle when I heard Gloria on the phone in the living room. She thought I couldn't hear her. She was wrong. I'm telling you, Denise, something ain't right about that baby. She don't look nothing like Marcus. Nothing. Light skin, light eyes. I'm just saying, that girl went to Atlanta by herself for 3 days last year. Who knows what she was doing down there? My blood ran cold. She was talking about me, to my husband's sister, planting seeds. I wanted to confront her right then and there, but I was exhausted. I was hormonal. I was bleeding and sore and barely sleeping. I didn't have the energy to fight, so I said nothing. And that was my first mistake. The comments kept coming every single day. You know, Marcus was the darkest baby I ever saw. Came out looking like his daddy from day one. But this one, I was looking at some old pictures. Every Mitchell baby has that birthmark on their back. Does Zoe have it? No? My friend Patricia's daughter-in-law, she had a baby by another man and tried to pass it off. Can you imagine the audacity of some women? She never accused me directly. That wasn't Gloria's style. She was too smart for that. She dropped hints, made insinuations, let her words hang in the air like poison. And the poison was spreading. One night, I came home from a doctor's appointment and found her in Zoe's nursery, taking pictures. Close-ups of Zoe's face, her hands, her ears, her feet. "What are you doing?" I asked. "Sending pictures to the family," she said, smiled that fake smile. "Everyone wants to see the baby." I didn't think anything of it. Why would I? She's the grandmother. But Gloria wasn't sending those pictures to show off. She was sending them with messages. Messages like, "Look at this baby and tell me she looks like a Mitchell." Messages like, "Something ain't right and we all know it." Messages like, "Pray for my son. I think he's been deceived." I wouldn't find out about those messages until later, much later, when the damage was already done. Meanwhile, Gloria was working on Marcus. I started noticing things, little things at first. Marcus would look at Zoe with his head tilted, like he was studying her. He'd hold her up to the light and examine her face. "She really does have light eyes," he said one night. "Nobody in my family has light eyes." "My grandmother had hazel eyes," I reminded him. "I've shown you pictures." "Yeah, but..." But what? But his mother had gotten in his head? But he was starting to doubt his own wife? I should have seen it coming. I should have sat him down and had a real conversation. But I was so tired, so overwhelmed. I was working 12-hour shifts, pumping breast milk, trying to keep the house clean, trying to keep Gloria happy, trying to be everything to everyone. I didn't have anything left for difficult conversations. And Gloria knew exactly what she was doing. She waited until I was at my weakest to attack. One Sunday after church, I overheard Gloria talking to Marcus in the kitchen. I was supposed to be upstairs putting Zoe down for a nap, but I'd come down for a glass of water. "Son, I'm only saying this because I love you. That baby don't look like you. She don't look like anyone in this family. And Nina, well, she's always been a little too independent for my taste, too secretive." "Mama, stop." "I'm not saying nothing. I'm just saying, have you ever asked her about that conference in Atlanta? She was gone for 3 whole days. Did you go with her? No. Do you know what she was doing? No. I'm just saying, son, a mother knows. Something ain't right." I stood in the hallway, frozen, tears streaming down my face. This woman was trying to destroy my marriage, and she was succeeding. I heard Marcus sigh. "I don't know, Mama. Nina wouldn't do that to me." "Baby, I thought the same thing about your daddy. Men never want to believe the worst, but sometimes the worst is true." That's when I learned something about Gloria. She was a liar, a manipulator, and she would say anything to get what she wanted. I just didn't know yet what she was really hiding. I went back upstairs without the water, sat in the rocking chair in Zoe's room, and cried until I couldn't cry anymore. My daughter was 3 weeks old, and my marriage was already falling apart. 3 weeks later, I came home from a 12-hour shift. I was exhausted. My feet were swollen. My back was killing me. All I wanted was to shower, hold my baby, and sleep for about 100 years. Gloria's car was in the driveway. Again. I swear this woman had a key to my house I don't know about. When I walked in, something felt off. The house was too quiet. Gloria was sitting on the couch flipping through a magazine, but she had this look on her face, this satisfied look, like a cat who'd just caught a mouse. "Where's Zoe?" I asked. "Sleeping like an angel. I just gave her a bottle." I went to the nursery. Zoe was asleep in her crib, peaceful and perfect. But something was missing, her pacifier, the pink one with the little elephant, her favorite, the one she couldn't sleep without. "Gloria, where's her pacifier?" "Oh, that thing? It fell on the floor. I threw it away. Germs, you know." That pacifier was brand new. I had sterilized it that morning, and Zoe needed it to sleep. "Gloria knew that." "You threw it away?" "It was dirty. I'll buy her a new one." Something in her voice made me uneasy, but I was too tired to argue, too tired to question. I just nodded and went to take a shower. What I didn't know was that Gloria didn't throw that pacifier away. She took it. She'd been planning this for weeks, maybe months. She'd done her research, found one of those online DNA testing labs, the kind that costs $79 and doesn't require any verification, the kind where you just swab some samples and mail them in, no questions asked. That day, while I was at work, Gloria had gone through my house like a detective at a crime scene. She took Zoe's pacifier for the baby's DNA. She took Marcus's toothbrush from the bathroom for his DNA, and she mailed both of them off to some lab in Texas. All she had to do now was wait. I found out about all of this later, much later, when Gloria's whole plan blew up in her face. But at the time, I had no idea. I just knew something was wrong. Over the next 2 weeks, Gloria was different, quieter. She still came by every day, but she wasn't making as many comments about Zoe's appearance. She was just watching, waiting, like she knew something I didn't. And Marcus was getting worse. He barely touched me anymore. When he came home from work, he'd kiss Zoe on the forehead, but walk right past me. We hadn't been intimate since before the baby was born, and every time I tried to initiate, he had an excuse. "I'm tired. I have an early meeting. The baby might wake up." One night, I finally confronted him. "Marcus, what is going on with you? You barely look at me anymore. You come home late. You leave early. It's like you don't even want to be here." He was sitting on the edge of the bed, taking off his shoes. He didn't look at me. "Nothing's going on." "Don't lie to me. I'm your wife. I know when something's wrong." He was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "That conference in Atlanta, the nursing conference." My heart stopped. "What about it?" "You were there for 3 days, by yourself." "It was a professional conference, Marcus. I've been to dozens of them. But that one was different. You came back different." "Different how?" "I don't know. Happier, maybe, like you'd had a good time." I stared at him. "I had a good time learning about new medical procedures? That's what you're suspicious about?" "I'm not suspicious. I'm just asking questions." "No, your mother is asking questions, and you're repeating them." He finally looked at me, and his eyes were cold, so cold. "Is there anything you want to tell me, Nina? Are you asking me if I cheated on you?" "I'm asking if there's anything you want to tell me." I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. "No, Marcus, there's nothing to tell, because nothing happened. I went to a conference. I attended workshops. I went to dinner with other nurses. And I came home to you, to my husband, to the man I've been faithful to for 6 years. Then why doesn't Zoe look like me?" The words hung in the air between us. "She looks like my side of the family, Marcus. That's how genetics work. My grandmother had hazel eyes. My mother has light skin. Zoe looks like her mother. There's nothing suspicious about that." "Mama says—" "I don't care what your mama says," I was shouting now. "Your mama has been trying to destroy our marriage since day one. She's never liked me, and now she's using our daughter to turn you against me." Marcus stood up. "Don't talk about my mother like that." "Then tell your mother to stop talking about me like that. Tell her to stop poisoning our marriage with her lies and her suspicions." He walked toward the door. "Where are you going?" "I need some air." He slept on the couch that night, and the night after that, and the night after that. I cried myself to sleep every night, holding my daughter, wondering how everything had fallen apart so fast. I didn't know it yet, but Gloria's DNA results were on their way. And when they arrived, everything was about to get so much worse. Over the next 2 weeks, my marriage crumbled, piece by piece. Marcus moved into the guest room, said he needed space to think. But I knew what he was really doing. He was creating distance, building walls, preparing himself to believe the worst about me. He stopped saying "I love you," stopped kissing me goodbye in the morning, stopped touching me altogether. And Zoe, God, this is the part that breaks my heart even now. He stopped picking her up. This man used to fight me for holding time. Every night when he came home from work, the first thing he'd do was scoop Zoe out of my arms. "Give me my baby. Let me hold my baby." He'd walk around the house with her for hours, singing to her, talking to her, telling her about his day. Now, he'd come home, glance at her and her bouncer, and go straight to the guest room. One night I brought Zoe to him. "She wants her daddy," I said. He looked at her, just looked at her, like she was a stranger's child. "I'm tired," he said. "Maybe later." There was no later. I called my mama crying that night after everyone was asleep. "Baby, what's wrong?" "Marcus won't even look at Zoe. He barely talks to me. His mother has convinced him I cheated, Mama. He thinks Zoe isn't his." My mama was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Nina, you need to get a DNA test." "What?" "A real one, a legal one. Shut this whole thing down with facts." "But I know she's his daughter. I shouldn't have to prove it." "You're right, you shouldn't. But sometimes we have to prove things we shouldn't have to prove. Get the test, clear your name, and then you can decide what to do about that marriage." I knew she was right, but it hurt. It hurt so much to know my husband needed scientific proof to believe I hadn't betrayed him. The next morning, I approached Marcus at breakfast. "If you don't believe Zoe is your daughter, let's get a DNA test." He looked up from his coffee. "What?" "A DNA test, a real one, from a certified lab. We'll get the results, and then you'll know the truth." "You want to get a DNA test?" "No, I don't want to, but apparently it's the only way to save this marriage. So yes, let's do it." He studied my face for a long moment, looking for what? I don't know. Fear? Guilt? He didn't find either, because I had nothing to hide. "Okay," he said finally, "let's do it." For a moment, I felt hope. Maybe this would fix everything. Maybe once he saw the results, he'd realize how wrong he'd been, how wrong his mother had been. "I'll set up the appointment," I said. But before I could make that call, my phone rang. It was my sister-in-law, Denise. "Nina, Mama's calling a family meeting. Saturday at 2. You need to be there." "A family meeting? About what?" She didn't say, just said it was important, about the family. I hung up with a sick feeling in my stomach. Something was coming, something bad. I told Marcus about the meeting. He just nodded. "Did you know about this?" I asked. "Mama mentioned something." "Mentioned what?" He wouldn't meet my eyes. "I don't know, Nina. I'm sure it's nothing." But it wasn't nothing. I spent the rest of that week in a fog, working my shifts at the hospital, taking care of Zoe, trying to have normal conversations with a husband who looked at me like I was a stranger. Saturday came too fast. I dressed Zoe in a cute little outfit, yellow dress with white flowers. I wanted her to look beautiful. I wanted everyone to see how perfect she was. I put on my favorite dress, did my hair, put on makeup for the first time in weeks. If I was going to face Gloria's family, I was going to look good doing it. Marcus barely spoke on the drive over. He kept checking his phone, texting someone, his mother probably. When we pulled up to Gloria's house, I counted the cars. Denise was there, Terrence was there, 2 aunts I recognized from the wedding, an uncle, several cousins, people I only saw at holidays and funerals. Why are all these people here? I asked. Marcus didn't answer, just got out of the car. That's when I knew this wasn't just a family meeting. This was an ambush, and I was the target. Over the next 2 weeks, my marriage crumbled, piece by piece. Marcus moved into the guest room, said he needed space to think. But I knew what he was really doing. He was creating distance, building walls, preparing himself to believe the worst about me. He stopped saying I love you, stopped kissing me goodbye in the morning, stopped touching me altogether. And Zoe, God, this is the part that breaks my heart even now. He stopped picking her up. This man used to fight me for holding time. Every night when he came home from work, the first thing he'd do was scoop Zoe out of my arms. Give me my baby. Let me hold my baby. He'd walk around the house with her for hours, singing to her, talking to her, telling her about his day. Now, he'd come home, glance at her and her bouncer, and go straight to the guest room. One night I brought Zoe to him. She wants her daddy, I said. He looked at her, just looked at her, like she was a stranger's child. I'm tired, he said. Maybe later. There was no later. I called my mama crying that night after everyone was asleep. Baby, what's wrong? Marcus won't even look at Zoe. He barely talks to me. His mother has convinced him I cheated, Mama. He thinks Zoe isn't his. My mama was quiet for a moment. Then she said, Nina, you need to get a DNA test. What? A real one, a legal one. Shut this whole thing down with facts. But I know she's his daughter. I shouldn't have to prove it. You're right, you shouldn't. But sometimes we have to prove things we shouldn't have to prove. Get the test, clear your name, and then you can decide what to do about that marriage. I knew she was right, but it hurt. It hurt so much to know my husband needed scientific proof to believe I hadn't betrayed him. The next morning, I approached Marcus at breakfast. If you don't believe Zoe is your daughter, let's get a DNA test. He looked up from his coffee. What? A DNA test, a real one, from a certified lab. We'll get the results, and then you'll know the truth. You want to get a DNA test? No, I don't want to. But apparently it's the only way to save this marriage. So yes, let's do it. He studied my face for a long moment. Looking for what? I don't know. Fear? Guilt? He didn't find either, because I had nothing to hide. Okay, he said finally, let's do it. For a moment, I felt hope. Maybe this would fix everything. Maybe once he saw the results, he'd realize how wrong he'd been, how wrong his mother had been. I'll set up the appointment, I said. But before I could make that call, my phone rang. It was my sister-in-law, Denise. Nina, Mama's calling a family meeting. Saturday at 2. You need to be there. A family meeting? About what? She didn't say, just said it was important, about the family. I hung up with a sick feeling in my stomach. Something was coming, something bad. I told Marcus about the meeting. He just nodded. Did you know about this? I asked. Mama mentioned something. Mentioned what? He wouldn't meet my eyes. I don't know, Nina. I'm sure it's nothing. But it wasn't nothing. I spent the rest of that week in a fog, working my shifts at the hospital, taking care of Zoe, trying to have normal conversations with a husband who looked at me like I was a stranger. Saturday came too fast. I dressed Zoe in a cute little outfit, yellow dress with white flowers. I wanted her to look beautiful. I wanted everyone to see how perfect she was. I put on my favorite dress, did my hair, put on makeup for the first time in weeks. If I was going to face Gloria's family, I was going to look good doing it. Marcus barely spoke on the drive over. He kept checking his phone, texting someone, his mother probably. When we pulled up to Gloria's house, I counted the cars. Denise was there, Terrence was there, 2 aunts I recognized from the wedding, an uncle, several cousins, people I only saw at holidays and funerals. Why are all these people here? I asked. Marcus didn't answer, just got out of the car. That's when I knew this wasn't just a family meeting. This was an ambush, and I was the target. I walked into that house holding my daughter like a shield. 23 people, I counted them. 23 pairs of eyes turning to look at me as I stepped through the door. Nobody smiled. Nobody said hello. Nobody even acknowledged Zoe, who was awake and looking around with those beautiful hazel eyes. The living room had been rearranged, chairs brought in from the dining room, a semicircle facing the fireplace, like a courtroom. And standing in front of the fireplace, like a prosecutor about to deliver closing arguments, was Gloria. She was holding an envelope. "Sit down, Nina," she said. Not "hello, Nina," not "thank you for coming, Nina," just "sit down." I sat. Marcus sat next to me, but he might as well have been on the other side of the room. He wouldn't look at me, wouldn't touch me, just stared at the floor like he was waiting for something terrible to happen. Because he knew. I realize that now. He knew what was coming. Gloria cleared her throat. The room went silent. "I didn't want to do this," she began. Her voice was calm, controlled, like she'd rehearsed this speech 100 times. "I prayed about it, asked the Lord for guidance. But sometimes we have to speak the truth, even when it hurts." I felt my heart start to race. For months now, I've had my suspicions. That baby, she pointed at Zoe in my arms, doesn't look like any Mitchell I've ever seen. And Nina, well, she paused, looked around the room. We all know she was alone in Atlanta for 3 days last year. No husband, no supervision, just her. Murmurs around the room, heads nodding, people exchanging looks. "Mama, what is this about?" I heard myself say. My voice sounded far away, like it belonged to someone else. "This is about the truth." Gloria held up the envelope. "I took matters into my own hands. I did what needed to be done to protect my son." "What did you do?" "I got a DNA test." The room gasped. I gasped. "You did what?" "I took samples from the baby and from Marcus. Sent them to a lab. Got the results back yesterday." She waved the envelope. "Would you like me to read them?" "You had no right. You did this without my consent, without my knowledge, without—" I had every right to protect my son from a cheating wife. "I didn't cheat." "The DNA says otherwise." She ripped open the envelope, pulled out a piece of paper, held it up like it was the Holy Grail. "Probability of paternity," she read, her voice ringing through the room. 0%. Marcus Mitchell is not the biological father of this child. The room exploded. Denise jumped to her feet. "I knew it. I knew from the moment I saw that baby. She ain't no Mitchell." One of the aunts was fanning herself. "Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy." Cousins were whispering, shooting me looks of disgust. And Marcus, my husband, the man who promised to love and protect me, he just sat there, staring at the floor, like he'd already accepted the verdict. "Marcus," I said. My voice was shaking. Tears were streaming down my face. "Look at me. Please, look at me." He raised his eyes, and there was nothing in them. No love, no warmth, just cold, empty betrayal. "You can't believe this," I said. "This test means nothing. It was done without proper procedure. The samples could have been contaminated. The lab could have made a mistake." "DNA doesn't lie," Gloria said triumphantly. "But people do, and you've been lying about me since the day I married your son. The only liar here is you, trying to pass off another man's baby as my grandchild. She is your grandchild. She is Marcus's daughter. I have never been with anyone else." "Then explain those results." "I can't explain results from some shady online lab that you used without anyone's consent, but I can get a real test, a legal one that will stand up in court." Gloria laughed, actually laughed. "You want another test? Fine, get another test. It'll say the same thing. Because DNA doesn't change just because you want it to." I turned to Marcus, desperate now, pleading. "Baby, please. You know me. You've known me for 6 years. I would never do this to you. I would never betray you. Zoe is your daughter. Look at her. Look at her little ears. They're shaped just like yours. Look at the way she scrunches her nose when she's about to cry. That's your face. That's your expression." For a moment, something flickered in his eyes. Something soft, something familiar. Then Denise spoke up. "Don't let her manipulate you, Marcus. Cheaters always have excuses. She's just trying to save herself. The softness in Marcus's eyes disappeared. Nina, his voice was flat, dead. I think you should leave. What? I need some time to process this. I think you should take Zoe and go. Go where, Marcus? This is my home. This is my home, and right now I need you to leave. I looked around the room one more time. 23 people, not one of them on my side. Not one of them speaking up for me. Not one of them questioning Gloria's magical DNA test that came out of nowhere. I stood up. My legs were shaking so badly I could barely walk. Fine, I said. I'll leave. But mark my words. I'm going to get a real DNA test from a real lab with real chain of custody. And when the results come back proving that Zoe is Marcus's daughter, every single one of you is going to owe me an apology. I looked directly at Gloria, especially you. I walked out of that house with my daughter in my arms and my head held high. But the moment I got to my car, I collapsed. I sat in the driver's seat and sobbed. Sobbed until I couldn't breathe. Sobbed until my whole body shook. Zoe started crying too, like she could feel her mama's pain. It's okay, baby, I whispered, even though nothing was okay. It's gonna be okay. Mama's gonna fix this. Mama's gonna prove them all wrong. I drove to my mother's house, and that's where my fight back began. My mama opened her door at 11 o'clock at night, took one look at my face, and opened her arms. I fell into her. Couldn't even speak. Just held my daughter and sobbed against my mother's shoulder like I was a child again. Oh, baby, she whispered. What did they do to you? She didn't ask questions. Not that night. She just took Zoe from my arms, made up the guest room, ran me a hot bath, and sat with me until I finally fell asleep from sheer exhaustion. The next morning, she made breakfast, pancakes and bacon and strong coffee. Zoe was in her bouncer, cooing at the ceiling fan like nothing in the world was wrong. I told my mama everything. The looks, the comments, the pictures Gloria had been taking, the phone call I'd overheard, the secret DNA test, the family meeting, the 23 people staring at me like I was garbage, Marcus telling me to leave. My mama listened without interrupting. When I was done, she was quiet for a long moment. Then she said something that changed everything. Nina, when somebody attacks you this hard, this publicly, for something you didn't do, usually they're hiding something of their own. I frowned. What do you mean? I mean, Gloria came at you like a woman possessed. She didn't just suspect you. She launched an entire investigation, called a family meeting, stood up in front of everyone and humiliated you. That's not normal, Nina. That's desperate. She's always hated me, Mama. That's true, but this is different. This is planned. This is calculated. People only get this desperate when they're protecting something. I shook my head. Protecting what? She just wants to break up my marriage. Maybe, or maybe, my mama leaned forward, maybe she's scared of something that a DNA test might reveal. What would Gloria have to be scared of? I don't know, baby, but I know this much. You get yourself a real DNA test, a proper one, from a proper lab, with proper procedures, and you make everyone take it, including Gloria. Why would Gloria need to take a DNA test? My mama smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of a woman who'd seen a lot of things in her 66 years. Call it a mother's intuition. Something ain't right with that woman. Never has been. And the truth has a way of coming out. I didn't fully understand what my mama was saying. Not yet. But I trusted her. That afternoon, my phone started blowing up. Text messages from numbers I didn't recognize. The Mitchell family group chat had added me just to send hateful messages before kicking me out. Cheating whore. You got what you deserved. Can't believe Marcus married trash. Hope you rot in hell. I turned off my phone. Marcus didn't call, didn't text, nothing. I spent 3 days at my mama's house, barely eating, barely sleeping, just holding Zoe and crying and trying to figure out how my life had fallen apart so fast. On the fourth day, I woke up different. The tears had dried up, the shock had worn off, and in its place was something else. Anger. I was angry. Angry at Gloria for her lies. Angry at the family for believing them. Angry at Marcus for not defending me. Angry at myself for letting this happen. But more than angry, I was determined. I was going to fight. I got up, took a shower, put on real clothes for the first time in days, did my hair, looked at myself in the mirror. You are not going to let them destroy you, I said to my reflection. You are going to prove them wrong. Every single one of them. Then I called my best friend. Carmen, I need your help. Carmen Reyes. We met in nursing school 15 years ago. She was my roommate freshman year. She was supposed to be a nurse like me, but after one semester, she realized she hated blood and loved arguing. So she became a lawyer instead. Now she's one of the best family law attorneys in Charlotte. Nina, what's wrong? You sound terrible. I need to see you. Today. It's an emergency. Come to my office, 1 o'clock. I hung up and looked at my mama. It's time to fight back, I said. She smiled. That's my girl. Carmen's office was downtown on the 14th floor of a glass tower that looked out over the Charlotte skyline. She'd done well for herself. Really well. When I walked in, she took one look at me and came around her desk to hug me. Girl, what happened? You look like you haven't slept in a week. I haven't. She led me to the couch in the corner of her office, sat down next to me, handed me a box of tissues. Tell me everything. So I did, from the beginning. Gloria's behavior at the hospital, the comments about Zoe's skin color, the seeds of doubt she'd been planting, the secret DNA test, the family meeting, Marcus kicking me out. I showed her screenshots of the hateful text messages. I showed her a photo I'd taken of Gloria's DNA results before I left the house. When I was done, Carmen's face was hard. Her jaw was clenched. She looked like she wanted to punch someone. First of all, she said, this DNA test is garbage. What do you mean? Look at it. She pulled out her reading glasses and examined the paper. It's from some online lab I've never even heard of. There's no chain of custody documentation, no verification of who provided the samples, no witness signatures. Any court in the country would throw this out. Can I sue her? Probably. Defamation, invasion of privacy, maybe intentional infliction of emotional distress. But let's focus on what matters most right now, clearing your name and protecting your daughter. She stood up and walked to her desk, grabbed a legal pad, and started writing. Here's what we're going to do. We file for a court-ordered DNA test, proper lab, accredited facility, witnessed sample collection. You, baby Zoe, and Marcus. Results that nobody can question. That's what I want. But we're not stopping there. Carmen looked up at me. We're going to request that Gloria also submit DNA. Gloria? Why? Because she's the one who started this whole mess. She made the accusation. She conducted the illegal test. If she wants to prove the baby isn't a Mitchell, then let's test all the Mitchells. I shook my head. I don't understand. What good does testing Gloria do? Carmen sat down across from me. Her eyes were intense. Your mama told you something, didn't she, when you went to her house? She said Gloria seemed desperate, like she was protecting something. Exactly. Nina, I've been doing this job for 12 years. I've seen a lot of cases. And one thing I've learned is that people who attack first are usually hiding something. Gloria came at you hard, too prepared, too public. In my experience, that level of aggression usually means someone is trying to create a distraction. A distraction from what? I don't know yet, but I intend to find out. And the first step is getting everyone's DNA, including hers. She started writing again. I'm also going to request financial records, phone records, any communication Gloria has had with other family members about you and Zoe. Can you do that? If we frame it right, yes. She made a public accusation. She caused you harm. We have a right to discover how she came to her conclusions and who she shared them with. I felt something I hadn't felt in days. Hope. Carmen, I can't afford... Stop. She held up her hand. You're my best friend, your family. I'm not charging you a dime. This is personal. Tears welled up in my eyes. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Thank me when we've destroyed Gloria Mitchell and gotten your life back. She walked me to the door. One more thing, Nina. Don't talk to Marcus. Don't talk to anyone in that family. Everything goes through me now. Understand? I nodded. Good. I'll have the paperwork filed by end of day tomorrow. Gloria is about to find out what happens when you mess with the wrong woman. I left Carmen's office feeling something I hadn't felt in weeks. Strong. Whatever was coming, I wasn't going to face it alone. I had my mama, I had Carmen, I had the truth. And the truth was about to set me free. The court summons was served 3 days later. I wasn't there to see it, but Carmen told me everything. A process server showed up at Gloria's house on a Tuesday morning, handed her the papers right there on her front porch in front of 2 of her neighbors who were out getting their mail. Gloria tried to refuse them, said she didn't know what this was about. The process server just said, "Ma'am, you've been served," and walked away. My phone rang an hour later. It was Marcus. What did you do? I was at my mama's house feeding Zoe. I put him on speaker so I could keep my hands free. I filed for a legal DNA test. We already have results. No, your mother has results from some discount online lab that I've never heard of. Results from samples that were taken without my consent. Results that have no legal standing whatsoever. Nina, if you're so sure I cheated, Marcus, then do this the right way. Real lab, real procedures, real results. What are you afraid of? Silence on the other end. That's what I thought. Why is my mother being subpoenaed? Because she started this. She wants to prove Zoe isn't a Mitchell? Fine, let's test all the Mitchells. I could hear Gloria screaming in the background. Her voice was high and hysterical. I'm not giving my DNA. This is harassment. This is persecution. I won't do it. Tell your mother, I said calmly, that she can either cooperate voluntarily or my attorney will get a court order. Her choice, but she is going to be tested, one way or another. I hung up before Marcus could respond. Over the next week, Carmen kept me updated on the developments. Gloria hired her own lawyer, some expensive guy from uptown who usually handled corporate cases. He filed a motion to have Gloria excluded from the DNA testing, said it was unnecessary and harassing. The judge denied it. See, when you make a public accusation that destroys someone's reputation and family, you don't get to hide behind privacy concerns. Gloria had started this fire. Now she was going to have to walk through the flames. But here's what was interesting. Gloria wasn't acting like someone who had nothing to hide. She was panicking. My friend Kayla called me one evening. Kayla and I work together at the hospital. We've been friends for years. She also happens to go to the same church as the Mitchell family. Girl, she said, you're not going to believe what's going on. What? Gloria is losing her mind. She's been at church every single day this week. Not for service, just sitting in the sanctuary by herself. One of the deacons said she's been praying and crying for hours. Guilty conscience? Maybe, but there's more. People are talking. Some of the older members, the ones who've been there for 40, 50 years, they remember Gloria from back in the day. Remember what? Kayla lowered her voice like she was sharing state secrets. They remember that Gloria was popular. With the men, even after she married Ernest. My heart started beating faster. What are you saying? I'm not saying anything for sure, but there were rumors, Nina. Rumors about Gloria and some man named Raymond. He was a deacon at the church, apparently, fine as wine, and he left town real suddenly about 34 years ago. 34 years ago? Yeah, right around the time Gloria got pregnant with Marcus. The room started spinning. Kayla, are you telling me? I'm not telling you anything. I'm just saying what people are saying. But Nina, think about it. Why would Gloria be so scared of a DNA test? Why would she fight so hard to not give her sample? If everything is on the up and up, what's she got to hide? I couldn't breathe. I gotta go, I said. I gotta call Carmen. I hung up and immediately dialed my lawyer. Carmen, I think I know what Gloria is hiding. Talk to me. I think Marcus might not be Ernest's biological son. I think Gloria had an affair 35 years ago, and she's been covering it up ever since. Carmen was quiet for a moment. That would explain a lot. That would explain why she went after you so hard. She wasn't trying to protect Marcus from you. She was trying to protect herself. She was scared. If DNA testing became normal in the family, if people started asking questions, her whole house of cards would come tumbling down. I felt sick and vindicated and furious all at once. Can we prove it? The DNA test will prove it. If Marcus isn't Ernest's son, it'll show up in the results. Gloria's DNA will match Marcus as his mother. But if we compare to any existing records of Ernest's DNA, he died 5 years ago. Would there be records? Medical records, possibly. Blood type at minimum. Maybe more. Let me make some calls. I hung up the phone and sat in the silence of my mama's guest room. Gloria Mitchell, the woman who had called me a cheater, a liar, a whore, the woman who had turned my husband against me, the woman who had tried to take my daughter. She was the cheater all along, and she was about to be exposed. The days that followed were like pieces of a puzzle falling into place. Carmen dug into Gloria's past like a detective on a mission. She found old church records, talked to people who'd known the Mitchell family for decades, pieced together a story that had been buried for 35 years. Raymond Lewis. That was his name. He'd been a deacon at New Hope Baptist Church back in the 80s. Handsome man, charismatic, the kind of man who made women forget their vows. He and Gloria had been close. That's how the old church ladies put it. Close. They'd served on committees together, been seen having coffee after service. Nothing scandalous, nothing provable, just whispers. Then, suddenly, Raymond left town, moved to Florida. No warning, no goodbye, just gone. 3 months later, Gloria announced she was pregnant with her second child, Marcus. Nobody thought anything of it at the time. Gloria was married. Ernest was devoted to her. Why would anyone question it? But now, looking back, people were starting to remember things. How nervous Gloria had seemed during that pregnancy. How she'd avoided being photographed. How she'd insisted on a home birth instead of going to the hospital. She didn't want any records, Carmen said during one of our calls. No blood tests, no official documentation. She was covering her tracks from day one. For 35 years, I whispered. She's been living a lie for 35 years. And when you came along, when you married Marcus, when you got pregnant, you became a threat. Me? How was I a threat? Because you're smart, you're educated, and you have a daughter who doesn't look like the Mitchell family. Gloria saw you and Zoe, and she saw herself and Marcus 35 years ago. She was terrified that history was going to repeat itself, that someone would start asking questions, that the truth would come out. So she attacked first. Classic deflection. Make you the villain so nobody looks at her. If everyone is focused on your alleged affair, nobody is going to dig into her past. It made terrible sense. There's more, Carmen continued. I talked to Terrence's girlfriend. Apparently, Gloria has been acting strange lately, asking weird questions. What kind of questions? She asked Terrence if he ever thought he looked like his father. She asked Denise if she had any old pictures of Ernest from before Marcus was born. She's been gathering up old photo albums. Terrence's girlfriend said she saw Gloria burning photographs in the backyard last week. Burning them? Why? Destroying evidence. She knows what's coming. She's trying to erase anything that might prove what she did. I felt a chill run down my spine. Carmen, if she's willing to destroy evidence, what else is she willing to do? I've already thought of that. I'm filing for expedited testing. The longer this drags out, the more time she has to manipulate the situation. We need to get everyone in that lab as soon as possible. The court date was set for the following Monday. That weekend was the longest of my life. I couldn't eat, could barely sleep. I just held Zoe and tried to imagine what the next week would bring. My mama sat with me on Sunday night. We drank tea and watched the sunset from her back porch. "You nervous?" she asked. Terrified. "Don't be. The truth is on your side. It's always on your side. What if I'm wrong? What if Gloria really did do an honest DNA test and I know I didn't cheat, Mama. But what if there was some kind of mix-up at the hospital or—" "Nina," my mama took my hand. "That baby is Marcus's. I knew it the moment I saw her. She has his stubbornness, his determination, the way she furrows her little brow when she's thinking about something. That's pure Mitchell." "Then why doesn't he see it?" "Because he's been blinded. By his mother, by his own fears, by years of being told that his mama knows best." She squeezed my hand. "But after Monday, he's going to see the truth, and he's going to have to live with how he treated you." "What if he wants me back?" My mama was quiet for a moment. "That's a bridge you'll cross when you come to it. First, let's prove you didn't burn down the house. Then we can talk about whether you want to rebuild it." Monday came. Carmen picked me up at 8 in the morning. My mama stayed home with Zoe. This wasn't the kind of thing I wanted my baby present for. As we drove to the lab, Carmen gave me a final rundown. Gene Trust Laboratory, fully accredited, impeccable reputation. They do testing for courts all over the state. Nobody can question their results. "Who's going to be there?" "You, Marcus, and Gloria. The judge ordered all 3 of you to submit samples." "What about Zoe?" "A court-appointed social worker will bring a sample from Zoe separately. Carmen had arranged for a cheek swab to be done at my mama's house earlier that morning. I didn't want my baby anywhere near Gloria Mitchell." "And what happens after?" "Results take about 2 weeks. Then we all meet at my office for the reveal." 2 weeks. 14 days of waiting, of wondering, of hoping. "It's almost over, Nina," Carmen said as she parked the car. "One way or another, it's almost over." I took a deep breath. Let's do this. Gene Trust Laboratory was in a medical complex on the east side of the city. Modern building, clean lines, very professional. Not like those fly-by-night online labs Gloria had used. Carmen and I arrived first. She signed us in, and we waited in a private consultation room. Marcus arrived 10 minutes later. He looked terrible. Dark circles under his eyes. He'd lost weight. His clothes were wrinkled like he'd slept in them. Good, I thought. Let him suffer. He tried to talk to me. "Nina, Don't." I held up my hand. "Anything you want to say to me can go through my attorney." He flinched like I'd slapped him. But he nodded and sat down on the opposite side of the room. 5 minutes later, Gloria arrived. I barely recognized her. The Gloria I knew was always put together. Hair done, makeup perfect, designer clothes. The queen of the Mitchell family. This woman looked like she'd aged 10 years in 2 weeks. Her hair was pulled back in a messy bun, no makeup. She was wearing sweatpants and an old cardigan. Her hands were shaking so badly she could barely hold her purse. This was not a woman who was confident in her innocence. This was a woman who knew her world was about to collapse. Our eyes met across the room. For a moment, something flickered in her gaze. Fear, guilt, desperation. Then her face hardened into that familiar mask of contempt. "This is a waste of time," she announced to no one in particular. "We already know the results. That baby isn't Marcus's." "Then you have nothing to worry about," Carmen said calmly. "Let's let the professionals confirm it." A lab technician came in to explain the process. Cheek swabs, witnessed collection. Every sample documented and tracked from the moment it was taken to the moment it was analyzed. Chain of custody that would hold up in any court in the country. I went first, opened my mouth, let them swab the inside of my cheek. Quick and painless. Marcus went next. He wouldn't look at me while they took his sample. Then it was Gloria's turn. She hesitated. "Ma'am," the technician said, "we need your sample now." "I don't see why this is necessary. I'm not the one being tested." "The court order specifies all parties, ma'am. If you refuse, I'll have to note that in my report, and you may face contempt charges." Gloria looked at Marcus, looked at me, looked at the door like she was considering making a run for it. Then, slowly, she opened her mouth. The technician took the swab, sealed it in an evidence bag, labeled it. Done. Results will be ready in approximately 2 weeks, the technician said. You'll be contacted by the requesting attorney to schedule a results meeting. We filed out of the room in silence. In the parking lot, Marcus tried again. Nina, please, can we talk? About what, Marcus? About how you believed your mother over your wife? About how you looked at your own daughter like she was a stranger? About how you kicked me out of my own home? I was confused. Mama had the test results, and You chose to believe a piece of paper from some shady online lab instead of trusting the woman you married. The woman who has never lied to you. The woman who has been faithful to you for 6 years. I know I messed up. But when those results come back, you're going to feel like the biggest fool who ever lived, and you'll deserve it. I turned and walked to Carmen's car. Nina, he called after me. I didn't look back. The next 2 weeks were agony. I tried to keep busy, went back to work, took care of Zoe, had dinner with my mama every night. But underneath it all was this constant hum of anxiety, this countdown clock ticking in my head. 12 days, 9 days, 6 days. Carmen called with updates. The lab was processing everything on schedule. No issues, no delays. How are you holding up? She asked. Barely. I just want this to be over. Soon. Very soon. On day 13, my phone rang. It was a number I didn't recognize. Mrs. Mitchell, this is Gene Trust Laboratory. Your results are ready. Your attorney has scheduled a meeting for tomorrow at 2 p.m. at her office. Thank you. I hung up and sat in silence for a long moment. Tomorrow. Tomorrow, the truth would finally come out. Tomorrow, everything would change. I called my mama. The results are in. She was quiet for a moment, then, You ready? I've been ready since the day Gloria Mitchell opened her mouth. That's my girl. Get some sleep tonight. Tomorrow, we get justice. I didn't sleep, not a wink, just lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, waiting for the sun to rise. This was it, the beginning of the end. Those 2 weeks between the test and the results meeting were the longest of my life. I went through the motions, woke up, fed Zoe, went to work, came home, ate dinner with my mama, went to bed. Repeat. But my mind was never present. It was always somewhere else, always thinking about what was coming. The Mitchell family had gone quiet. No more hateful text messages, no more calls from Marcus, just silence. Carmen said that was normal. They're waiting, she explained. They think they know what the results will say. They're saving their ammunition for after. What if they're right? Nina, stop. You know the truth. I know the truth. The test is going to prove the truth. End of story. But doubt has a way of creeping in, even when you know you're innocent. I started second-guessing everything. What if there was a mix-up at the hospital? What if some bizarre medical anomaly had occurred? What if, somehow, some way, I was wrong about everything? Those thoughts kept me up at night, made me sick to my stomach, turned me into a nervous wreck. Kayla noticed at work. Girl, you need to eat something. You're wasting away. I can't. Every time I try to eat, I feel like I'm going to throw up. The results meeting is tomorrow, right? Yeah. Then this time tomorrow, it'll all be over. You just got to hold on one more day. One more day. 24 hours. 1,440 minutes. I could do this. That night, Carmen called with some additional information. I wanted to give you a heads up. The lab found some anomalies in the testing. My heart stopped. What kind of anomalies? Nothing bad for you. Actually, it's potentially very good, but there are going to be some unexpected results tomorrow, beyond just the paternity question. Carmen, what are you saying? I'm saying that Gloria Mitchell is about to have a very bad day, possibly the worst day of her life. You found something. The lab found something. Remember how we requested a full DNA profile for everyone, not just paternity markers? Yeah? Well, when they ran Gloria's profile and compared it to existing medical records from Ernest Mitchell, let's just say there's a reason Gloria was so scared of this test. I sank onto my mama's couch. She did it. She really did it. She cheated on Ernest. The DNA doesn't lie, Nina, and tomorrow everyone is going to know it. I couldn't believe it. All this time, Gloria had been projecting her own guilt onto me, accusing me of the exact thing she had done. Does Marcus know? Not yet. He'll find out tomorrow with everyone else. God, he's going to be devastated. Probably, but that's not your problem anymore. Your problem was proving your innocence, and tomorrow that's exactly what's going to happen. I hung up the phone and sat in the dark for a long time. Part of me felt vindicated, triumphant even. Gloria had tried to destroy me, and instead, she was going to destroy herself. But another part of me felt sad. Marcus was going to find out his whole life had been a lie, that the father he'd loved and mourned wasn't his biological father, that his mother had been deceiving him for 35 years. That was going to break him. And even after everything he'd done to me, even after he'd chosen his mother over his wife, even after he'd looked at our daughter like a stranger, I didn't want to see him broken. I still loved him. God help me, I still loved him. But love wasn't enough. Not anymore. He'd shown me who he was when things got hard. He'd shown me that his loyalty to his mother would always come before his loyalty to me. Tomorrow wasn't just about proving I was innocent. Tomorrow was about deciding what kind of future I wanted. My mama came into the living room and found me staring at the wall. "You okay, baby?" "I don't know, Mama. I honestly don't know." She sat down beside me and took my hand. "Whatever happens tomorrow, remember one thing. You survived this. You fought back. You didn't let them break you. No matter what else happens, you should be proud of that." I leaned my head on her shoulder. "Thanks, Mama. Now get some sleep. Tomorrow is going to be a big day." I tried, I really did, but sleep wouldn't come. I just lay there in the dark, watching the hours tick by, waiting for dawn, waiting for justice, waiting for the truth to finally set me free. 2:00, Carmen's conference room. I arrived with my mama. She wasn't going to let me face this alone. Marcus was already there, sitting at one end of the long table. He looked even worse than he had at the lab, like he hadn't slept in weeks, like the weight of the world was crushing him. Next to him sat Denise and Terrence. They'd insisted on being there for support. Really, they wanted to witness my humiliation. They were going to be disappointed. Gloria arrived last. She walked in like she was walking to her own execution. Every step slow, every breath heavy. She didn't look at anyone, just sat down in the chair farthest from me and stared at the table. Carmen took her place at the head of the table. Next to her was Dr. Williams from Gene Trust, holding a folder that contained the results that would change all of our lives. "Thank you all for coming," Carmen began. "Dr. Williams is here to present the official results of the court-ordered DNA testing. I'll remind everyone that these results are legally binding and have been processed according to the highest standards of evidence collection." She nodded to Dr. Williams. "I'll read the results in the order they were tested," Dr. Williams said. She opened the folder. First, the paternity test between Marcus Mitchell and the minor child, Zoe Mitchell. The room went dead silent. I couldn't breathe. This was it. This was the moment. Dr. Williams pulled out the first document. Based on DNA analysis of samples from Marcus Mitchell and Zoe Mitchell, the probability of paternity is 99.9998%. She looked up. Marcus Mitchell is the biological father of Zoe Mitchell. I closed my eyes. Tears streamed down my face, but for the first time in months, they were tears of relief. "No," Denise said, "that can't be right. The other test said—" "The previous test was conducted without proper protocols," Dr. Williams said firmly. "Samples were contaminated. There was no chain of custody. The results were invalid. This test is definitive. Marcus Mitchell is the biological father." I opened my eyes and looked at Marcus. He was staring at me. His face was white. His eyes were full of something I hadn't seen in months. Shame. "Nina," he whispered. "Oh God, Nina, I'm so sorry." I didn't respond. I couldn't. I just sat there, letting the truth wash over me. I was innocent. I had always been innocent. And now the whole world knew it. But Dr. Williams wasn't finished. "There's more," she said. "During our analysis, we discovered an anomaly that required additional testing." Gloria made a sound, a small, strangled whimper. "Our standard protocol includes comparing DNA profiles to any available family records to verify lineage. In this case, we were able to obtain medical records for Ernest Mitchell, deceased, which included DNA markers from previous medical testing." "What does that have to do with anything?" Denise demanded. Dr. Williams looked directly at Gloria. "During our comparison, we discovered that while Gloria Mitchell is confirmed as the biological mother of Marcus Mitchell," Gloria started shaking her head. Tears were streaming down her face. "Ernest Mitchell is not the biological father of Marcus Mitchell." The room didn't just go silent. It went dead. Marcus turned to look at his mother. "What?" "The DNA does not match. Marcus Mitchell and Ernest Mitchell share no paternal genetic markers. Ernest Mitchell was not Marcus's biological father." "Mama?" Marcus's voice cracked. "Mama, what is she saying?" Gloria was sobbing now, deep, ugly sobs that shook her whole body. "I'm sorry," she wailed. "I'm so sorry. I never meant for this to happen." "Never meant for what to happen?" Denise jumped to her feet. "Mama, tell me this is a mistake. Tell me this is wrong." "I can't." Gloria's voice was barely a whisper. "I can't tell you that, because it's true." The room exploded. Denise was screaming. Terrence was demanding answers. Marcus just sat there, frozen, like his brain couldn't process what he was hearing. "When?" Marcus finally managed to say. "When did this happen?" 35 years ago. Gloria could barely speak through her tears. "Your father and I, we were having problems. We were separated for a few months, and I met someone, a man named Raymond." "Raymond Lewis?" Terrence said. "The deacon who left town? That Raymond?" Gloria nodded. "I didn't know I was pregnant until after your father and I reconciled, and I couldn't tell him. I couldn't destroy our family, so I kept quiet. I let him believe you were his. I let everyone believe you were his." Marcus stood up so fast his chair fell over. My whole life, I thought Ernest Mitchell was my father. I have his name. I gave his eulogy. I cried at his grave. And he wasn't even my real father? He loved you like a son. Because he thought I was his son. You let him live and die believing a lie. Gloria reached for him. "Marcus, please." He jerked away from her touch. Don't you dare touch me." He turned to look at me, and in his eyes I saw it all. The realization, the horror, the devastating, crushing understanding of what his mother had done. "You." His voice was hollow. "She accused you. She dragged your name through the mud. She turned me against you. And the whole time, she was the one." He couldn't even finish the sentence. Denise turned on her mother. "You hypocrite! You stood in front of our whole family and called Nina a cheater. You waved around that fake DNA test. You destroyed her marriage, and you were the cheater all along." "I was trying to protect." "Protect what? Your reputation? Your secrets? You weren't protecting Marcus. You were protecting yourself." Gloria collapsed into her chair, sobbing, and I just sat there, watching the Mitchell family tear itself apart. All those months of pain, all those sleepless nights, all those tears and accusations and hateful words. And it was all because Gloria was terrified of being exposed. She saw me and Zoe, saw a light-skinned baby that didn't look like the Mitchell family, and she panicked. She thought history was repeating itself. She thought someone would start asking questions. So she attacked first, made me the villain, distracted everyone from her own guilt. And now, her whole house of cards had collapsed. Karma, as they say, is a powerful thing. And karma had finally found Gloria Mitchell's address. The conference room looked like a battlefield. Gloria was slumped in her chair, crying so hard she could barely breathe. Denise was pacing back and forth, alternating between screaming at her mother and crying herself. Terrence was just sitting there, staring at the wall, looking like someone had pulled the ground out from under him. And Marcus was looking at me. "Nina," I didn't respond. "Nina, please, look at me." I turned to face him, my husband, the man I'd loved for 6 years, the man who had chosen his mother over me, the man who had looked at our daughter like a stranger. "I don't even know what to say," his voice broke. "I believed her. I believed every word she said. I looked at our daughter, and I doubted her. I doubted you." "Yes, you did. I was wrong. I was so wrong, and I'm sorry. God, Nina, I'm so sorry." He dropped to his knees, right there in front of everyone, in front of his mother, his siblings, my lawyer, my mama. Marcus Mitchell, proud man, accountant, pillar of his family, on his knees. "I failed you," he said. "I failed our daughter. I let my mother poison me against my own wife when I should have trusted you, when I should have defended you, when I should have stood up and said, 'I know my wife, and she would never do this.'" Tears were streaming down his face. "I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't deserve forgiveness. But I need you to know that I see it now. I see what she did. I see how she manipulated all of us, and I see what I threw away." Denise had stopped pacing. She was watching her brother, and something in her face changed. "Nina," she stepped forward, "I owe you an apology too. The things I said about you, the things I called you, I was wrong. We all were." She dropped to her knees next to Marcus. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Terrence followed. 3 Mitchell siblings on their knees in front of me. "I should have said something," Terrence said quietly. "I knew something wasn't right. I had doubts about Mama's test. But I didn't speak up. I just went along with everyone else. That was wrong." And then, slowly, painfully, Gloria Mitchell rose from her chair. She shuffled toward me like a woman walking to her own funeral. Each step seemed to cost her something. She lowered herself to the ground, knees hitting the carpet, head bowed. "Nina," her voice was raw, broken, "I have wronged you in ways I can never undo. I accused you of my own sins. I tried to destroy your marriage, to hide my shame. I turned your husband against you. I made you a pariah in your own family." She looked up at me. Her face was swollen from crying, mascara streaking down her cheeks. "I was afraid. For 35 years I've lived in fear that the truth would come out. And when I saw Zoe, when I saw a baby who didn't look like the Mitchells, all that fear came rushing back. I saw my own past staring back at me, and instead of facing it, I attacked you." She reached for my hand. I pulled away. "Please," she begged, "please forgive me." I stood up, looked down at the 4 people kneeling before me. This was the moment I had dreamed about, the vindication, the triumph, the whole Mitchell family at my feet, begging for forgiveness. But it didn't feel the way I thought it would. I wasn't triumphant. I wasn't gloating. I was just tired. "Forgiveness," I said slowly, "is earned, not given." Gloria sobbed. "You accused me of being unfaithful to my husband. You called my baby a bastard. You turned everyone I loved against me. You tried to take my daughter. And the whole time, you were the one living a lie. You were the one who cheated. You were the one who let a man raise a son that wasn't his." I looked at Marcus. "And you chose your mother over your wife. You believed her lies over my truth. You looked at our daughter and saw doubt instead of love. You kicked me out of my home." Marcus couldn't meet my eyes. "I don't forgive any of you. Not today, maybe not ever. But I'm not going to carry this hatred around forever. That poison would only hurt me." I took a deep breath. "What I am going to do is move forward with my daughter, with my life. And if any of you want to be part of that life, you're going to have to earn it. through actions, not words, through time, not promises. I looked at Gloria. You will never be alone with my daughter, ever. You've proven you can't be trusted. That's a consequence you'll have to live with. I looked at Marcus. And you? You have a lot of work to do. If you want any chance of saving this marriage, any chance of being a real father to Zoe, you're going to have to become a different man, one who trusts his wife, one who stands up to his mother, one who puts his family first. I gathered my things. I'm going home now, to my mama's house, to my daughter. When you're ready to start proving yourselves, you know where to find me. I turned to leave, then stopped at the door. One more thing. The family meeting where you humiliated me? 23 people were there. I expect apologies from every single one of them, personally, by name. I looked at Denise. Make it happen. Then I walked out. My mama was waiting in the hallway. She'd heard everything. You did good, baby, she said, pulling me into a hug. You did real good. I let her hold me for a long moment. Let's go home, I said. I want to see my daughter. As we walked out of the building, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Peace. Not happiness, not satisfaction, not even relief, just peace. The truth had finally come out. The lies had finally been exposed, and I was free. Whatever came next, I would face it, but I would face it on my own terms. 6 months later. I'm sitting on my mama's porch, watching the sunset, drinking sweet tea. Zoe is in her playpen beside me, babbling at her favorite stuffed elephant. She's 9 months old now, crawling everywhere, starting to pull herself up on furniture, saying, Mama, clear as day. She still has those hazel eyes, still has my complexion. And now that she's older, you can see Marcus in her too. His nose, his ears, the way she scrunches her face when she's concentrating. Anyone who looks at her can see she's a perfect mix of both her parents. Funny how DNA works. A lot has happened since that day in Carmen's conference room. Gloria Mitchell's reputation is in ruins. The church ladies who used to worship her now whisper when she walks by. She stepped down from all her committees, stopped sitting in the front pew. Most Sundays, she doesn't come to church at all. The story spread through the community like wildfire. Gloria Mitchell, who had spent decades judging other women for their sins, turned out to be hiding the biggest sin of all. The hypocrisy was too delicious for people to ignore. She tried to reach out to me a few times in the beginning, sent letters, left voicemails, showed up at my mama's house once, begging to see Zoe. I didn't respond to any of it. Some wounds are too deep to heal. Some trust, once broken, can never be repaired. Gloria made her choices, and now she has to live with the consequences. Marcus found Raymond, his biological father. It took him 3 months of searching. Raymond had moved to Florida, gotten married, had 2 other kids. He had no idea Gloria had gotten pregnant. No idea he had a son walking around with another man's name. Their first meeting was awkward. How do you talk to a stranger who shares your DNA? How do you build a relationship with someone who missed your entire life? They're trying, slowly, carefully. Marcus calls him once a week. They've met in person twice. It's not a father-son relationship. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But it's something. Marcus himself has changed. He's in therapy. Twice a week, he sits in a counselor's office and unpacks 34 years of his mother's manipulation. Learns why he was so quick to believe her lies, works through the trauma of discovering his whole identity was built on deception. He cut ties with Gloria, completely. Doesn't take her calls, doesn't respond to her messages. Told Denise and Terrence that if they want him in their lives, they need to stop making excuses for their mother. It was hard for him. Gloria was everything to Marcus, his mother, his advisor, his moral compass. Learning that compass had been broken all along nearly destroyed him. But he's rebuilding, brick by brick, day by day. He comes to see Zoe every day, without fail, rain or shine. He shows up at my mama's house at 5 o'clock, spends 2 hours with his daughter, then leaves. He reads to her, sings to her, plays with her on the floor, holds her like she's the most precious thing in the world. Because she is. Am I back with him? Not yet. I'm still at my mama's house, still processing everything that happened, still figuring out who I am after the worst months of my life. But Marcus and I talk now, really talk, about what went wrong, about what would need to change, about whether there's a future for us after everything that happened. He hasn't pressured me, hasn't pushed. He just shows up, day after day, proving through his actions what he couldn't prove with his words, that he's sorry, that he's changed, that he'll never let anyone come between us again. I don't know if I'll ever fully trust him again. Some wounds leave scars that never fade, but I'm open to trying, slowly, carefully, on my own terms. Kayla says I'm too forgiving, that after what Marcus did, I should have divorced him and taken everything. Carmen says I'm smart, that giving him a chance to prove himself is the only way to know if the marriage can be saved. My mama says I'm wise, that I'm making decisions from a place of strength, not weakness. I think I'm just trying to do what's best for Zoe. She deserves 2 parents who love her, 2 parents who are present. If Marcus can become the man he needs to be, if he can truly break free from his mother's influence, then maybe we can be a family again. Time will tell. In the meantime, I've got my job, my daughter, my mama, and my peace. It's more than I had 6 months ago. I think about Gloria sometimes, about how she spent 35 years hiding a secret that ate her alive from the inside, about how that fear made her attack anyone who got too close, about how her attempt to protect herself ended up destroying everything she cared about. There's a lesson there, something about how lies never stay buried, something about how the things we hide have a way of coming to light, something about how the people who point fingers usually have the dirtiest hands. Gloria thought she was destroying me. Instead, she destroyed herself. She thought the DNA test would prove I was the liar. Instead, it proved she was. She thought she would take my daughter. Instead, she lost her son. Karma has a way of working things out. If you're going through something like this, if someone is accusing you of things you didn't do, if your in-laws are trying to tear apart your family, if you feel like the whole world is against you, I want you to know something. Hold on. The truth has a way of coming out. It might take time. It might take tears. It might take a fight you didn't want to fight. But the truth wins every single time. And the people who lied, the people who tried to hurt you, they'll get exactly what they deserve. Not because you wished it on them, not because you plotted revenge, but because that's how the universe works. Karma doesn't need GPS. It always finds the right address. So hold on, keep fighting, keep believing in yourself. Your day will come. Mine did. I'm Nina Carter Mitchell. I was accused of cheating by my mother-in-law. She secretly DNA tested my baby to prove I was a liar. But those results didn't prove what she wanted. They proved what she'd been hiding for 35 years. And when the truth came out, it was the entire Mitchell family on their knees, begging me for forgiveness. The truth will set you free. It set me free, and it will set you free too. Just hold on. Your truth is coming. Before I go, I want to share 3 lessons I learned from this experience. 3 lessons that cost me almost everything. 3 lessons I hope you never have to learn the hard way, like I did. Lesson number 1. The people who accuse the loudest are often hiding the most. Think about it. Gloria Mitchell spent months pointing her finger at me, calling me a cheater, calling me a liar, telling everyone who would listen that I had betrayed her precious son. And the whole time, she was the one who had cheated. She was the one who had lied. She was the one who had been hiding a secret for 35 years. That's not a coincidence. People who are living in guilt see guilt everywhere. People who have betrayed others expect to be betrayed. People who are hiding something are constantly looking for threats. Gloria looked at me and saw herself. She saw a woman who might expose her secret. She saw a baby who might raise questions. She saw danger, so she attacked first. If someone is coming at you hard, accusing you of terrible things without real evidence, ask yourself this question. What are they hiding? What secret is so big that they need to destroy you to protect it? 9 times out of 10, the person pointing the finger is the one who should be investigated. Remember that. Lesson number 2. Your worth is not determined by what others believe about you. For months, I let the Mitchell family define me. When they called me a cheater, I felt like a cheater. When they looked at me with disgust, I felt disgusting. When my own husband doubted me, I started doubting myself. I knew the truth. I knew I hadn't done anything wrong. But their accusations were so loud, so constant, so overwhelming that I started to crack. That was my mistake. Your truth doesn't change just because someone else refuses to believe it. Your character doesn't disappear just because someone attacks it. Your worth doesn't diminish just because someone tries to tear you down. I spent too many nights crying, wondering if I was crazy, wondering if somehow, some way, I had done something wrong without knowing it, wondering if maybe Gloria was right about me. She wasn't. I was innocent. I had always been innocent, and no amount of lies, accusations, or fake DNA tests could change that. If you're going through something similar, if people are saying things about you that aren't true, if you're starting to doubt yourself because the attacks are so relentless, I need you to hear this. You know who you are. You know what you did or didn't do. You know your truth. Hold on to that. Protect it. Don't let anyone take it from you. The world can call you whatever it wants. Your family can believe whatever they want. Your spouse can doubt whatever they want. But at the end of the day, you have to look at yourself in the mirror. And if you can do that with a clear conscience, that's all that matters. The truth will come out eventually. It always does. And when it does, the people who doubted you will have to live with their shame. But you'll be free. Lesson number 3. Protect yourself because no one else will. This is the hardest lesson I learned, and it breaks my heart to say it. I thought Marcus would protect me. I thought my husband, the man who promised to love and cherish me, would stand up for me when his mother attacked. I thought he would look at the evidence, see how ridiculous it was, and defend his wife. He didn't. He chose his mother. He chose to believe her lies over my truth. He chose to look at our daughter with suspicion instead of love. When it mattered most, Marcus failed me. And that's when I realized something important. You cannot rely on other people to fight your battles. You cannot wait for someone else to save you. You cannot assume that the people who are supposed to love you will do the right thing. You have to protect yourself. When Gloria started her campaign against me, I should have fought back immediately. I should have documented everything. I should have called a lawyer from day one. I should have drawn a line in the sand and said this far and no further. Instead, I stayed quiet. I tried to keep the peace. I hoped things would get better on their own. They didn't get better. They got worse. Much worse. By the time I finally started fighting, I had already lost so much. My reputation, my home, my marriage, months of my life spent in tears and torment. Don't make my mistake. If someone is coming for you, if someone is trying to destroy your life, don't wait. Don't hope. Don't pray for them to change. Act. Document everything. Save every text message, every email, every voicemail. Take screenshots. Keep records. Build your evidence. Get help. Call a lawyer. Talk to a counselor. Reach out to friends and family who support you. Build your team. Set boundaries. Tell the people attacking you that their behavior is unacceptable. Tell them there will be consequences. And then follow through. Protect your peace. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to explain yourself to people who have already decided you're guilty. You don't have to engage with toxicity. And most importantly, protect your children. If you have kids, they are watching. They are learning. They are absorbing everything. Show them what it looks like to stand up for yourself. Show them that lies don't win. Show them that their mama is a fighter. I wish I had done all of this sooner. I wish I had been stronger from the beginning. I wish I had trusted myself instead of hoping others would trust me. But I can't change the past. I can only learn from it. And now I'm sharing those lessons with you. So if you take nothing else from my story, take this. Watch out for the people who accuse too loudly. They're usually hiding something. Know your worth, even when others try to take it from you. And protect yourself, because at the end of the day, you're the only one who truly will. I'm Nina Carter Mitchell. I survived a mother-in-law from hell, a husband who chose his mama over his wife, and a DNA test that was supposed to destroy me. But I'm still standing, and so will you. Thank you for listening to my story. If it helped you, if it gave you strength, if it made you feel less alone, then every tear I cried was worth it. Take care of yourself, protect your peace, and remember, the truth always wins. Always.